Hey guys, Brian from the great state of Louisiana, Cajun Cardboard, coming to you guys on the Lucan Nation Network with another fantastic top 10 list with my recurring, dependable guest, Coach Jonathan Pixley. Jonathan, welcome to the show. We got a good one today. This is one that we're probably most excited about. I don't think we've been this excited about one yet. What do you think?
I am super excited, and also it was the most difficult list I've had to come up with so far, for sure.
It is. Well, so much rides on it. Like last week's list, the lives of our children and the future of mankind rode on who we were going to choose to close out our games, right? And we couldn't even get our criteria of the list correct. But the viewers got to see two lists with two different criteria. So it was a bunch of free content, basically, is the way I look at it. This week's list, I'm with you, man. And I think it's one of those deals where we may not be on exactly the same page, but I think we're going to be able to see each other's perspective because our list will be similar. Again, we never share our list before this video. Like, even before we hit the record button, you're like, don't tell me your list. And I was like, I'm not going to tell you my list. I was like, because we like to second guess each other and we want to make sure it sounds organic. And so it's a secret. I don't know your list. You don't know my list. We may not even have the same person at the top of the list if I had to guess.
Well, and I'm glad that I didn't know your list last time, because if you would have told me that you were going to put the lives of your children and family on Tim Duncan facing up and making a 18-foot bank shot in the game, I would have said, well, why are we even doing this? But anyhow, we can move on. Let's move on.
Yeah, Tim Duncan can make 1 out of 2 free throws and win the game if it's tied, man. He usually made 1 out of 2, like a little over 1 out of 2. Okay, so the topic of today's video is top 10 NBA posterizers. Okay, so let me work through this. It's not the top 10 best dunks ever. We're talking about the actual players, and then we are talking about posterizers. So what that means is in-game only, right? No dunk contests. We're not talking about dunk contests. So you may or may not see Aaron Gordon, Zach LaVine, Nate Robinson, for God's sakes, in his 57 dunk attempts in his dunk contests. You're definitely not going to see the Birdman, Chris Anderson. So we're not talking about dunk contests. We're talking about consistent catching bodies with contact and or people trying to defend your dunk and just absolutely abusing people and facializing people, right? Posterizing people, putting them on a poster. So no breakaway 360s. It's not all about that, right? So we're talking about colliding with people and catching bodies. Are we on the same page with criteria?
We're on the same page with that. There's a level of violence that needs to occur, right? And you'll see with my list that while some guys may be more violent than others, there may be a little more diversity in how somebody else dunks on someone, or what's the visual appeal of it. Like, watching a big dunk on somebody may not be as visually appealing as watching a wing dunk on somebody, right?
That's right.
And then on top of that, like, are there guys who are lower on my list, as you'll see, because people don't ever challenge them because they're like,
exactly. Right. So you got to watch this video all the way to the end. You do not want to skip forward. You want to watch this whole video. I am with you on that comment you just made.
Right.
The person that I assumed would be number one, he's not my number one because people didn't go freaking near him because they knew what was going to happen, right? So sometimes when you know you're outmatched, you just don't show up to the gunfight. You know what I mean?
There's a handful of guys in my honorable mention, which I actually came up with because you couldn't help but do one here, right?
Yeah.
That there's a couple guys that I went back and looked at videos and I'm like, God dang, everybody gets out the way. So,
Yeah, it's tough. This was tough. The last thing I'll say before we get to our honorable mention is that a lot of this hinges on, like you just said, opportunity and timing, right? There are some guys that just didn't have the opportunity and didn't get challenged enough. There's some guys who maybe didn't play long enough. I considered consistency and quantity of posterizing dunks as well. So we looked at the apex, right? Where you jump back and say, holy crap, what did I just see? So you measure that, but then you measure how many times you say that during this player's career. Like, did it happen repetitively? Did he have 80 posters in his career, or did he only have 6? You can make the list with 6, but it would have to be 6 pretty damn nasty dunks, right? So quantity and quality combined, and there's no perfect formula for that, but we're going to talk through it and kind of see where we are on each other's lists.
Yeah, and the last thing to take into account is there's always a wow factor with a posterizing dunk, but like the thought of who even thinks about dunking the ball that he just dunked with
That's
that person waiting on him, right?
That's shocking dunks. That's taken into account.
Right.
I will give you another little spoiler alert. One person really stands out with his behavior after the dunks. One person really stands out, and I don't know if we're on the same page there because we haven't discussed it, but when we get there, we'll know. So let's get cranking. Let's go in reverse order. Let's start with your honorable mention. We'll go one at a time. You name an honorable mention, and I'll tell you if I have him. If not, then I'll throw one out.
Okay. I'm going to throw – first of all, I'm going to throw my first two guys out that I really struggled not being in my 10, okay?
Okay.
And I just want to do two because they both really –
throw them out. And so you're saying maybe 11 and 12. These are 11 and 12 maybe on your list.
11 and 11A because really they're the same person with regards to this, okay? And that one is Ja Morant and the other one is Russell Westbrook. And Ja, after going back and looking at videos, and Westbrook, same thing. Like both of them are so quick to the rim. It's rare that they actually are challenged heavily at the rim, right? But as far as like violence and just nastiness attacking the rim and just ridiculous athleticism, dude, they may be two of the 5 most athletic people to ever play basketball, right? So those would be my two. And then I'll go ahead and throw the third guy in there too, just because they're all the same guy, Derrick Rose, who I wanted to put in my 10, but probably would have, honestly, had he not gotten hurt at some point from a quantity standpoint. But those three guys, I'll lump them together because I feel like they're kind of the same type deal.
Fair. None of those three made my top 10, so we have that in common. Westbrook made my honorable mention. Ja Morant didn't because I don't think he has enough of a body of work yet. Now, look, if we make this video even 3 years from now, I have a suspicion Ja Morant will be at least knocking on the door. Maybe he goes from 11A to 9 or something. It'd be hard to get in the top 10, but you never know. So Ja did not make my honorable mention, and neither did Derrick Rose, although he had some nasty ones. The one on Dragic, obviously. What was Dragic doing? That one comes to mind, right?
Stacey King brings that out. Stacey King brings that out. What are you thinking, Dragic?
What are you thinking? That is a point guard.
Do you have a grouping like I just did, maybe of guys that?
I didn't. I didn't put as much time into the list as I should have. I failed in that regard. I was trying to put some other stuff together, but I've just got a kind of a general. So you shared 3 of your honorable mention. I've got 2 more, and I'm worried now that the name I'm about to say that's on my honorable mention, I'm worried he's in your top 10. I think he might be, and I won't fault you for it because he very easily could have been my number 9 or 10. Dwyane Wade's in my honorable mention.
Yeah, he's on my honorable mention as well.
He didn't make it for you. Okay.
He was close. He wasn't as close as Westbrook was for me, but he was he's there. I mean, he's got plenty. For sure.
Yeah. The 2 Dwyane Wade dunks that come to mind for me are the Verjao dunk, right? Where he very much disrespected him. And then there was another dunk where I think he Euro'd, and I can't remember who he got, but it was horrific.
The Verjao one is the one that everybody would recognize.
Yes. Yeah.
And it was after a LeBron block dunk on the other
right after. Yeah. Was it the same? Was it the very next possession at the other end?
It was the same play because then Dwyane Wade's yelling to the crowd, "That's how you do it."
That's right. Yeah. It's hard not to put Wade in here. He had so many, and he's one of those guys, Jonathan, that it's like he's not supposed to dunk the ball goofy-footed. Like he jumped off the wrong foot, wrong hand, and dunked it. Or he's only 6'4" or 6'5", maybe, whatever. I'm 6'4". I can't even put together in my brain that he even considered dunking the ball, right? That ball should have been laid in or dropped in or finger rolled, and he turned it over. And so he's one of those guys that just shocks the conscience sometimes.
And he punted Verjao into the support of the –
Who deserved it? Just for the hair. I mean, Verjao deserved everything he got on that. Horrific hair. Just horrific game, flopping, flailing, just limbs everywhere.
Joakim Noah. Poor man, Joakim Noah.
Yeah. Verjao was horrific to watch in every way, shape, or form. So let me throw another one out there. Deandre Jordan didn't make my top 10.
Yeah, he didn't make my top 10 either.
Did he make your honorable mention?
He was my honorable mention.
Yeah, same.
So
yeah, we were talking, DeAndre Jordan, ended the career basically of Brandon Knight. So
that one may show up on a video to come potentially.
Yeah. And here's another thing we were talking about. We're going to do a video coming up either next week or the week after where we talk about just the 10 best poster dunks, period, regardless of who the victim was, regardless of who committed the crime. We're going to do the top 10 posterizing dunks as well. And that will be really tough to cap at 10 because who the victim was will factor into that one, at least for sure. I think it's got to factor into the criteria. So who you got matters. We'll see a lot of 7-footers on that one for sure. Give me another honorable mention that did not make your top 10.
So here is a guy who falls squarely into the wasn't challenged often enough, and that's why he can't make the top 10 list. And most people will not remember this version of this player, but Charles Barkley, when he was with Philadelphia and the Sixers at the beginning of his career, was a scary athletic individual.
Yeah.
Couldn't look further than that from right now, but even at the end of his career, especially at Houston, but even at Phoenix, he wasn't the same. But I mean, people would literally dive out of the way as he was coming down the lane to dunk the ball. So again, he was a guy who 6'4.5", and I know that for a fact because people are like, "Oh no, he's listed as 6'6". I stood next to the guy in Birmingham, and I was just as tall as he was, and I was like, "It's crazy to think."
Yeah.
I was not as wide as he was, though.
What do you think, Sixers Barkley, 280?
Oh, well, I think he did slim down apparently to around 250, 260 at one point, but that was Moses Malone.
In Philly?
Yeah, in Philly. Yeah, at the very beginning, you're right. 280, 290, easy.
Auburn Charles Barkley was, yes, he was about to pop and gravy was going to fly out of his body. Barkley, I didn't have him on my honorable mention, but that's a good one. The dunk that's most memorable for Barkley is the one where he goes coast to coast, very right-handedly, and then just goes 1 foot, 2 hands. Everybody gets the hell out of the way. Here's the deal with Barkley. This is why nobody challenged him, because whether he dunked it or laid it in, you weren't going to take a charge anyway, right? No. So you were going to get out of the way whether he finger rolled it or what. You don't want to get hit by a 6'4", 275-pound guy.
Nothing's that important.
Nothing's that important, right? You want your career to, even back then when they weren't making any money, you wanted your career to continue. So nobody really challenged him. I got Daryl Dawkins just outside my top 10.
Yeah, and you know what? I missed him. I didn't put him even in my honorable mention, and that's crazy. I guess I didn't watch enough video, but I didn't know if he dunked on people.
Enough, right?
Yeah, so he wasn't my honorable mention, but you can't argue it. I mean,
that's why he's in my honorable mention. He's not in my top 10. I don't know if he had enough victims, right? I don't know if he had enough bodies. And then the last one on my honorable mention, and this is where I think you might have him in your top 10, is Tracy McGrady.
I didn't. He was honorable mention. He was tough.
Okay.
Honorable mention.
What else? Give me another honorable mention that you've got that I haven't named.
I've got a few. I've got actually 3 more. I'm going to name them. I told you I got to 18. I actually got to 20 on my list. I didn't count right. I have Amore Stoudemire, who I'm pretty sure you have on your list. But I want to lump him and Dwight Howard together. And Dwight Howard was really difficult for me to leave off the list because he has really posterized some people. I probably left him off because I'm just not a fan of him as a human being. So, and look, it's not supposed to be like that. That's not what the list is. But being a human being, that's probably where I went with it. As you'll see, who is number 10 on my list. The last guy I had, and I just went and watched some video of him, and he's sneakily has a ton of posterizing dunks, and that's Clyde Drexler.
Yes.
I didn't realize how many bodies he got.
1 foot, all 1 foot, 1 foot, 1 hand everywhere.
One foot, 1 hand. He was like a much better version of James Worthy's Statue of Liberty dunk,
A way better version.
Yeah.
Way better version, right?
But he got some 2 foot in there too somehow.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, that rounded out my honorable mention.
But if I recall, he was in a dunk contest and he was awful.
Terrible.
Wasn't he? Yeah. Didn't he try to do a bunch of shit off 2 feet? And it's like, why? You fly off of 1 foot. Why are you out there doing a bunch of 2 foot dunks? I don't get it.
He also had no emotion to him, and he was boring. This was kind of ho hum.
Yeah. You and people will never know this, right? Because we both appear to be Caucasian, and we are. But our game had a little bit of flair to it. Mine had a little more flair than yours. You were probably a little more fundamentally sound, a little more powerful game. I was a little more finesse, but We can both dunk the ball pretty easily. We're both 2-foot jumpers. Yep. All my life, I've been so jealous of guys that can go off one because it's so much easier to get a dunk in a game, even a pickup game, off 1 foot, 1 hand than it is off 2 because you need your steps.
Yep.
And I was a right-left guy, and you were a left-right guy, right? Left, plant,
it was
right.
Actually both. I did. You
could do both. Yeah. I could really only do right-left. I don't know why. That doesn't make a lot of sense, but that's the way I was. But I was always jealous of guys that could just jump off 1 foot. Some of the guys we're about to see on this list, and the guys who have the highest quantity are guys that could go get people and get bodies off 1 or 2. One hand or 2 hands, left hand or right hand. And so think about that, and we'll talk more about it as we go through the list. But let's get cranking. All right, you want to go number 10 on my list or your list?
I'll go number 10 on my list, and here's why. Because this is the guy who I put on out of respect and just what he did for the game.
Okay.
And it's going to sound crazy because there's going to be people who watch this who are going to go, what do you mean you just gave him a spot? Okay. And that's Julius Irving, Dr. J. And the only reason, like, if we did it relative to era, which I did not do, I just went nastiest posterizing dunkers of all time, right?
Yep.
If you did it relative to era, then he would be number 1 or 2 probably, right?
Yep.
But I mean, like this dunk right here, I know it's not on anybody. This one right here on Kareem is tough, right? But
that's on the captain.
Yeah, it sure is. And he got him. There was one in the All-Star game that he got him with too that was so nasty coming over the middle. Yeah. But the point is, and everybody knows the Michael Cooper dunk and all that. Like all these dunks are child's play in today's game, you know. So yeah. But again, it's hard because he was my first favorite player. He really was. You know.
Look. Even in today's game, 2 of Dr. Day's dunks stand out to me that would stand out in today's game. First of all, watch this. Why does he go behind his back? Watch this.
I don't.
Hey.
By the way, he still didn't barely touches with his left.
Yeah. He wrapped it from right hand to right hand just to make sure he never touched it with his left. The 2 dunks that Doc had that really stand out to me that would stand out in today's game were the dunk on Walton, where I don't know if Walton's. That's first of all, that's filthy. That's 2 bodies in 1 right there. That's Larry Nance and James Edwards. Did James Edwards play on the Suns?
Yeah, sure did. Yep.
Wow. Is the Bill Walton dunk, which I think you're about to see.
This is it.
And then, of course, the Cooper dunk. There's the Walton dunk where he gets his steps. And Walton, for some reason, gets his steps as well. The only thing Walton was missing there were 2 good knees. And he got he goes right through his ear. And then that's a very similar dunk to the Walton. We'll keep watching because we're about to get to the Cooper dunk. Let's watch the Cooper dunk real quick because Doc deserves this, right? Doc was the greatest dunker in the history of the world. Here it is. Here's this Cooper loop right here. Catch some of that. Look where he picks the ball up, people. This is what we're talking about, and this is why this dunk's special. Yeah. You got these guys in disbelief.
And, like, back then, that was unheard of, what he did right there, right?
At least Cooper changed his mind at the last second. Otherwise, Michael Cooper could have lost an arm or something crazy like that, right? So Doc is on my list. I'll give you a sneak peek. Doc made it to number 7 on my list.
I could see it. I get it. I do. And I think also there's a couple of other dunks. The one I mentioned on Kareem in the All-Star game back in the 70s. And then there's one in 1983 All-Star game against Artis Gilmore where Artis Gilmore is already back on defense. And Doc literally goes straight at him and dunks on top of his head. And it was disgusting. Like you had people on the bench All-Star game. Like
1 foot, 1 hand.
Huh? Oh, of course.
Yeah. Always. Yeah. Almost. I mean, I think we just saw 10 where all 10 1 foot, 1 hand. I think every single one was. I don't think he dunked a single ball with 2. And look, to be fair, why do you need a second hand when it looks like a golf ball? When your hands so like I'm trying to get this on the screen. So most people take the ball here, and if they bring it back like this.
Right.
Doc would bring it back like this.
Yeah.
And he would not lose the ball. That's how big the dude's hands were, and he would move it around. And Jordan did some of that, but not like Doc.
Dude, I shook his hand. When I was 12 years old. Okay?
Yeah.
It covered up to like right here, on my wrist, on my forearm. It was crazy, huge. It was anyhow.
He's nuts.
I don't argue with your spot. I don't argue with him being 7th.
And I don't argue with him being 10. I mean, this list is impossible. This is one of those. It's not going to get contentious because all the names are tough, and you're not going to have a problem that I've got Amore at number 10. So Amore is number 10 on my list, and here's what we got. We got him going here. It looks like he's squaring up on Blake right now, who might appear on our list. And he gets Blake, and he gets some other fat guy underneath there. I don't even know who that other guy was, but he deserved every bit of it.
You sure did.
Let's just see who that is. Oh, it's Brian Cook. That's the great Brian Cook from Arizona.
Well, did you see Cook fly on that? Watch Cook fly.
Wow.
Oh, up so high.
Yeah, he's not the greatest help side defender. He's not the guy you want coming over trying to block Amore. That's the type of dunks right there that I think Amore. That's Joel Prisbilla that he's getting right there. Minnesota great. Let's see what number 8 is. He's squaring up on Nene. Like that ball, like I don't expect the guy to dunk that ball. I expect a little half hook. I expect Otis Thorpe to maybe hook it in. Tim Duncan a little half hook.
Yeah.
So he catches body and then jumps through contact, and that's what made Amore special. And it's the same thing. It's jab step, bounce, dunk on everybody. That's KG, and that may be Leon Poe or somebody else over there who thought they were going to go. Oh, it's Jermaine O'Neal.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Puts them all in the room.
All right, we can't spend too much time. Let me fast forward you here. Is this the Golden State one?
This is it right here.
Yeah.
And the crowd like shrieks.
That's Damp, right? That's Eric Dampier right there. Mississippi State legend. Played with our good friend at Mississippi State on that Final Four.
That's for sure. It's bad though. Like it's violent. If you hear it, like if you can hear the volume, which I know you can't right now, but like it is a shotgun, and like people in the crowd react like somebody just got shot.
Yeah, I like this reaction here too.
Yeah,
I like that reaction. All right, we've got Amore. Let's go to number 9 on your list. Let's see who you got.
So I'll be honest, like I was a victim of recency, not bias, until I went back and looked at video and realized exactly how many posterizing dunks Kobe Bryant had. So I put him at 9, which some people would say is ridiculous, but when you see the rest of my list, I don't think you will. But I mean, man, he had some dunks that you were like, how did he dunk that ball?
Yeah.
That one, first of all. Who thinks
like evasive dunks, evasive posters, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a way he could have gone and got that guy, but he also evaded him, right?
Right.
And of course, he loves to get Raja Bell. He had a horrible, bitter rivalry with Raja Bell.
Yeah, he also could go 1 or 2 feet.
1 or 2, yes.
So anyhow, that's not a posterizer, but he gets Emeka Okafor really bad down the middle of the lane at some point. It's one of his best posterizing dunks. Where did you have? I'm assuming he made your list.
Kobe is number 8 on my list. So this is one of those rare situations where I've got Kobe higher than you. I mean, we're not the biggest Kobe fans, but dude. Like I said, when I say we're not the biggest Kobe fans, I mean, we've got him squarely in our top 10 players that ever played, or top 12 for sure.
I mean, this is 7'5",
Yeah, it's just a little late. But I tell you what, he gets a hand on it right there, and it just didn't matter. He almost lost a finger.
There it is. Watch this.
This is the one. Yeah, that's the one.
2 feet.
That's on Okafor. And Okafor was a supreme shot blocker. Rookie of the year, if I recall. NBA Rookie of the Year.
I think he was. I think you're right.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyhow, it's good to see he was close to the same spot on our list. That's good. So he was 8 for you. Who was 9 for you?
Number 9 for me. Hang on, I've got his video queued up. Let me kill Kobe here. That was a poor choice of words. Let's go. I have got Dominique Wilkins as my number 9. So let's see what Neek's got for us. The footage gets grainier and grainier the further you go back. Kobe's was crystal clear and it was like easy to watch. Doc, we couldn't even tell except he had an afro, so we knew it was him. And so Neek is somewhere in between those guys. So there's Neek getting some poor Nick right there. But look, if you notice, I want you to make a total. Patrick Ewing is always around. Every time somebody does something crazy, Patrick Ewing's around. He was around on that first Knicks dunk. Here's another Knicks play. Yeah. Is Ewing on the court? Okay, he's not. He's safe on this one. He's safe. Trent Tucker's not jumping. Okay, no, that's not really a poster. It was hard to go through and pull enough videos of particular poster dunks. So some of these top 10 lists that we're seeing are going to have dunks that wouldn't necessarily qualify, right? These are not the reason we chose Dominique. The one reason that I can think of where you would choose Neek was the dunk on Bird, right?
Yeah, violent.
I mean, that's the one. That's got to be number 1, right? I'm going to try to scroll forward.
What was Bird thinking?
I don't have any idea. I've never nope, that's not even it. That's a different Bird dunk.
No, it's going to be later in the I think it's probably his number 1.
I'm telling you, I don't think it is. I think somebody just blew this video. Bird was there right there, though. Now, let's see what happens here. Now, he had a lot of dunks from the mid post. There's a double pump. That is probably his most signature dunk. That one or the one on Bird?
Yeah, I think, I mean, where he brings it down, like he does this to Larry Nance. And
is that Bob Lanier? I think that might be Bob Lanier.
Yeah.
That's it. Bird was not number 1. That was number 1. Okay. Neek's number 9 on my list. Neek had to make your list.
Yeah, he was a lot higher for me. He was
Really?
he was number 3 on my list, and I think you're going to regret this once you go back and watch a video on him, which I know you didn't have enough time. Yeah, he had the most maybe of anybody other than somebody else who I'm going to name on my list. He probably had the most of any wing on our list.
When we get to, I don't know how you could have him at 3. We're gonna have to talk through that. Like I get it. He could be 5th. He could be 6th.
See, man, you got to go back and watch like what he does to Robert Parrish a couple times. Obviously, the Bird deal. What he does, and the other thing he did. He's the only guy on the list who I saw regularly posterize people on tip dunks.
That happened a lot.
Yeah,
that happened a lot. How about the tip dunk on his own 3?
Yeah, I mean,
you remember that?
Yeah,
I mean, not really a tip dunk. He yammed it. Like he went and got it at the peak on his own 3-pointer, which of course he knew.
It's tough to do. Yeah.
All right. Who's number 7? Number 7 on your list. So just to be clear, so my list so far is Amore, Neek, Kobe was 8, and then Doc was 7 on my list. So who's number 7? You've already done 10, 9, 8, right?
I haven't done 8 yet.
Tell me your 8.
So 8 for me was LeBron. And the only reason he was that low is because, again, I'm putting into account the fact that while there is and I got to remember Nurkic, and I mean, there's some dunks. Obviously, the one he does on Jason Terry is like absurd. Okay. But he didn't, most of the time people get out of the way. Like even the one he did on Tim Duncan and the one he did on Garnett, those guys kind of got out of the way on those. And so it wasn't this all out on top of your head. Like they weren't challenging him like they were challenging Neek. Now, LeBron, and the other thing for me too, I want to be very, very clear. Okay. I took into account diversity of like the style, and he literally was 1 foot, 1 hand every time, except for this one. But
watch after.
Yeah, I know he stares at him, and that might be my favorite LeBron moment ever. By the way, just stares at him and gets teed up for this, which is absurd. But
well worth it. Even if you get thrown out of the game, is worth it.
That one right there might be his ultimate. Like, how do you do that, right?
Yeah,
okay. That right there. But that didn't happen very often, so I'm basing it on quantity. And look again, when you see the rest of my list, I think you're going to realize, okay, those guys probably had more poster dunks than LeBron.
Yeah.
Because who the hell's challenging?
Here's the KG. You don't think he gets KG? Yeah, he does get out of the way.
He got out of the way.
He does get out of the way, as he should.
Duncan just stood there when he got him, you know.
Yeah.
He thought about it.
Like, yeah, you're right. You're right. I had that one down. It's a memorable dunk because when it happened, how it happened, the time of the game, all of that mattered. But you're right. Both those guys thought better. Of course, Pierce didn't even remotely make an effort on defense because he sucked on defense.
Well, and you're thinking
there's another nasty one right there.
Yeah, and these are posterizers, right? But I mean, this is the guy taking a charge, so like it's still not challenged, you know.
Yep.
Now that one
that's challenged.
That's challenged. Yeah,
couldn't happen to a better person.
Oh, could not. I mean, yeah. But again, everything is 1 foot, 1 hand, and I know people think I'm banging on LeBron all the time, but no, I'm not. I mean, I just. Like, this is not a poster dunk. Can't count.
No, it's not a poster dunk. It's fancy. I love it. It's thoughtful. It's big basketball IQ, but you're right. That's not what gets him on my list way higher than you have him.
Well, I'm assuming he's in your top 5 for sure.
Yes, he is I would just tell you, he's number 4 on my list. Yeah.
But see, like that, do you count? I mean, he's taking a charge. It's a big – most people would count that as a poster. I don't count it.
It's Bielitsa. Yeah.
It's a charge. It's not an attempted block. And again, man – look, he's a victim of his own ridiculous athletic ability.
I think you're right. It's so clear when he gets his steps what's going to happen. He literally looks like a running back tucking it and daring somebody to get in his way. That's a nasty one. And that's James Johnson.
Yeah.
He now knows better.
Yeah. And the other thing is, too, about him, I think that if we created a different list of people with the most dunks where their head was even with the rim, he would win.
Yeah, you're right about that. Draymond, him and Gerald Green would win. Draymond gets every bit of this one. KD sort of sniffs at it. Draymond takes it right in the mouth.
Yeah, he's swiping.
Get up, Draymond. Good job.
What does Draymond do?
I don't know. Draymond and his 24-inch vertical were not a good match for that.
That's
just a ball. That's just a ball. Everybody tears their ACL in the world except LeBron. Look at his landing.
Yeah. What? And LeBron would also be at the top of the list of how did you dunk that ball, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, this is he's just absolutely just on another planet, man, as far as his physical nature. Speaking of being on another planet, you watched a little bit of the Victor Wembanyama the other night, yes?
Yeah, he's different, dude.
He's
and
different.
I love the way they're approaching it with him. They're not shutting him down. They're going to let him play. I love it.
Well, they don't have a choice. I read that quote. I sent you that quote, and they're like, he didn't come here to play one game, score 37, and then disappear, for the next 9 months because he knows he's number one. He wants to play basketball, and he wants to prove to the world over and over and over. He's special.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah.
He's a little on the thin side. But I felt like I was watching Porzingis play like Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
That's what I felt like looking at. 7'4" is very different than 7 foot. I mean, he's 5 inches taller than Giannis, allegedly.
A lot different.
Yeah, 5 inches taller than Giannis with an 8
I don't think so. I think Giannis is 7'5". I really do.
Maybe he is. I don't know. Maybe he is. All right. So that was number 8 on your list. So LeBron was 8.
That was 8 on my list. And you did 7 already, I think, right?
I did 7 already. It was Doc because you did Doc early on in yours. So who's number 7 on your list?
So appropriately, Giannis was number 7 on my list.
Wow. Okay.
And he was, and I had to go look at this because I didn't know if he was going to fall under the people get out of the way thing. Dude, he has so many dunks where his Inspector Gadget arm comes out of nowhere and just right hand, left hand, doesn't matter. So I had him at 7, and he actually was ahead of LeBron on here because he did it in different ways. That was really my main reason for having him ahead of LeBron.
I think a lot of the reason Giannis gets people is because I don't think people expected him to dunk what he just dunked. I think that most people, when they gather where he gathers, when he picks the ball up, and this is, I think, is one of his all-time. Well, that's not it. Never mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, the poster dunks with Giannis. I mean, of course, there's the one. It's a poster, but he didn't even touch the guy. I forgot who it was that he jumped over. It was a Tim Hardaway Jr. maybe.
It was in It was in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, I think it was Tim Hardaway Jr. He just jumped over his head back when Tim Hardaway Jr. was on the Knicks. And these are a bunch of breakaway dunks, and that one I think is overrated.
These are a waste of time. He can do that standing on the ground. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
This is one I remember watching this game live where he Euro step with a ball fake and then just where's he jump from? I mean, he's dunking balls that I think people don't expect him to dunk, and that's why he gets a lot of people on a poster. And then, of course, his spin dunk, he gets to the rim, whereas other people will be either shooting fadeaways or they'd be shooting up and under, little flip shots or whatever. So
see, the ones on here, that's pretty good. The ones on here, though, where they create top 10 lists, I feel like the top 10 list videos are terrible. If you just go watch, it'll say Giannis, dunk highlights, and there's 10 minutes of it. Dude, he does some stuff. That's what I watched yesterday, and I was like, I didn't remember he did all that.
Yeah, that's not a top 10 dunk. This is not one of Giannis. This video is entitled "Top 10 Dunks of His Career." That was not even a top 50 dunk of his career.
This is number 1, and they don't even have the one. See, that's sick though.
That is sick.
He's off his left foot with his left hand after a Euro.
Yeah,
boom.
It's a Euro step, goofy footed, straight over Ibaka's head.
Yeah, that falls into the.
And
how
one.
What do you think about dunking that ball?
And one, which he probably misses, but and one. All right, so we're on to number 6. Number 6 on my list is really, really difficult. Let me pull him up here so we've got him. I got Shawn Kemp at number 6 on my list, Jonathan. Is he on your list? He's got it.
Definitely on my list. Yeah, he was on my list. He was actually number 4 on my list.
We're going to probably watch all 10 of his because this is not a long video. It's 2.5 minutes. Yeah. He dunks it 1 foot, 2 foot, 1 foot, 1 hand, 2 hand. He handles the ball better than most 6'10" power forwards do. Certainly better than Dominique Wilkins handled the ball. He just gets anybody and everybody. And the best thing about him, and he's our guy, right, for our post dunk flare. His post dunk flare, even the 2 hands up, he's got something after every dunk. Look at him. Look at him. I'm not gonna bring him down yet. I'm gonna keep him up.
Yeah.
His post dunk flare was absolutely filthy. Of course, his 2 most famous dunks
are. Watch his walk. Watch his travel.
Oh yeah. It's just stutter steps, plural. And why did it work? Why did it work?
It was illegal, and the referees were in awe of the dunk, so they didn't call it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Violent. One of the angriest dunkers on our list, right?
For sure. I think Dominique is the angriest that I had on my list. Shawn Kemp is right there. Look at that. Who dunks
Step
that?
forward here. Here's one where he evades, right, which very few people in the world could do.
Look at
that one. That's not supposed to be done. That's not supposed to be done.
It's a windmill reverse dunk. How do you do that?
Yeah, that was not supposed to be done.
Yeah.
So number one, we know what number one is, the Lister Blister, of course. Yeah. Alton Lister, what are you doing? He gets up. There is another one, right? The famous finger point. Let's go back, though, because I want to see the Chris Gatling. Okay, first of all, nobody deserves to get dunked on more than Laimbeer, and that's a need of the teeth. So great for him to get that. But I wanted to show you, is it number 2?
Was it the Gatling where he daps him down after?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it.
Where are we at?
I don't even think they put it on here, man.
No, they did because he dances. That's Laimbeer. There it is. There it is. There it is. Let's show it. Bam. Right on your face, Gatling. Stare at him.
All right.
He asks for 5, and Gatling gives it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, there are so many dunks of his that aren't shown on this video that, I mean, especially when he was young, like coming into the league. He definitely belongs.
Quality-wise, he's a problem, dude. He's the Rain Man. He's great. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what else to say about him. He's number 6 on my list. Who's number 6 on yours?
Number 6 on my list is Shaq, and Shaquille probably was higher on your list, I'm assuming. But and as far as posterizing dunks, I mean, he's the one, now that I look at it, that I'm kind of kicking myself for not having maybe a couple spots higher. But
I have him 5, Jonathan. So I'm right with you.
Okay. I just think, as a big, it hurts him being higher on the list because he's
up, Alonzo.
But dude, what he did to Zoe, what he did to David Robinson in that All-Star game, oh my God. Like, people were screaming after he did it,
Yeah.
And by the way, he made more Georgetown Center posters than anybody in history, probably.
That's fair. That's fair. He definitely did not care that Alonzo Mourning was between him and the rim. He used his extra 45 pounds to show Alonzo what's up. Yeah. Let's see what he's got. He's going to get Robinson again, isn't he? Yep,
yeah. He was not a fan of David Robinson, so he enjoyed dunking on him whenever he could. Because apparently Robinson kind of dismissed him when he was a kid.
He made it up. He made it up. Shaq's come out and said he made it up.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Shaq legitimately, completely made up the story because I saw an interview with David Robinson who's like, I don't have any idea what he's talking about. And then they asked Shaq about it later, and Shaq's like, yeah, I shouldn't have said that. I totally made that up. I was looking for motivation like Michael Jordan used to do.
So like the LeBradford Smith-Jordan story?
Yeah, exactly. LeBradford Smith-Jordan, right? Good game, Mike. Here's the most famous one, right, where future Congressman Chris Dudley literally gets destroyed. Now, in Shaq's defense, it looks like Dudley tries to grab Shaq while he's mid-air. Watch Dudley's hands. See there where he puts his hands under his thighs? That's dangerous, man.
You know why, though? Because Shaq wrapped him up with his legs. So
I don't know. It's just a victim of circumstance.
It's the most disrespectful dunk I may have ever seen.
Well, there's another one that I think goes into that category, Scotty.
I know. Well, I was going to say
those two. Yeah, if we said just straight up most disrespectful, like give me a technical, I don't care. That one and the Scottie Pippen on and there he gets Sean Bradley right there.
Pippen should have made our honorable mention, probably, huh?
Who's that?
Pippen probably should have made our honorable mention. No, you don't think?
Maybe. I don't know. The dunk on Ewing is so epic. He's going to be in a future video. He'll get his time. Here it is. This is the one, right? In an all-star game where everybody, hey, let's just have some fun, guys. No, I don't think I'm going to.
What are you doing? Like,
I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm going to assert my superiority. Okay, that's Shaq. You've got Shaq 6. I've got Shaq 5. Okay. I can take him off the videos here. And now we're on to I'm just going to give you my number 4 is LeBron.
Well, I need to give you my 5.
Oh, who's your 5?
Well, because you gave Shaq his 5, right?
Yeah, who's your 5?
So this is going to tick some viewers off, but I have Jordan as 5, Michael Jordan as number 5.
What in the hell are you doing?
Well, remember, I've got Neek at 3 and Kemp at 4. Okay, so
well, let's just start there. Explain that.
So I've got Michael Jordan, and I think again, I take into account the level of violence involved. When I'm looking at the Kemp video, I'm starting to realize I should have had him ahead. I should have had Jordan ahead of Kemp. So I will admit that mistake.
Okay.
I'm not going to do the ahead of Dominique thing.
You're not going to put Jordan ahead of Dominique?
Not as a posterizer deal. Jordan's where he is because I give him the nod because he did it in so many different ways. And look, maybe I deserve to be ridiculed for this. So let's see the video. Because see, like this, he kind of places it in the goal over Sam Perkins. You know,
what in the hell are you talking about?
Well, that's not a
places
Dominique.
it in the goal.
That's not a Dominique dunk.
Okay, he dunks it from 13 feet in the air, man.
No. I'm with you, but when I'm taking into account violence, like it's got to be violent. Like Dominique regularly dunked the ball and it bounced back up like near the rim. Now,
is that violent enough?
That's pretty violent. By the way, another Georgetown center.
Yes, same Georgetown center.
But no, yeah, MJ definitely belongs on here. This is nasty too. By the way, Ewing's on the floor. Just let you know. Yeah, Ewing would have jumped, but he couldn't get out of the way.
No, because he was getting mugged by Bill Cartwright, who all he did for a living was mug people.
Yeah. That's
Jared Mustaf from Maryland fame.
Yeah, he did play in the NBA, which is unfortunate.
He did. Now, this is the one. This is maybe my number one Jordan facial of all time, other than the Ewing.
I'm gonna tell you right now,
that's ridiculous.
It's got to be in the top 5 facials of all time. Like this is ridiculous. Not only like he rides, like what's Trapuka thinking? But
why did this random porn star from the 70s sneak onto the court and run underneath Jordan in the middle of a basketball game?
And who's that trailing the play? That's Kurt Rambis.
There he is. That's Kurt Rambis. That's like somebody's bodyguard.
And we've gotten Rex Chapman out of the way early with our inside out.
My hero, my childhood hero from Owensboro, Kentucky, was part of that. He got in and outed so bad with that inside out dribble. That was ridiculous. And that's Bob Sura taking a charge, I think, right?
Another poor man's Rex Chapman. Yeah.
Very poor. Although Sura had a great NBA career. I thought.
He was a good player. Yeah. But see, like, that's a charge, right? Now, this one is ridiculous.
That's not a charge.
No.
That's Joe Barry Carroll. That's JBC.
It is. Yeah. And somebody else diving out of the way. This guy came over, acted like you want to block it. Let me get out of the way. But no, he kind of was there, wasn't he? Joe Barry Carroll.
He jumped and they collided, so that counts. There's no way that I'm not with you on this. Like, I didn't think this was going to get contentious.
Yeah.
This is contentious.
You know what? I made a mistake.
Good. I always give people a second chance. I won't give you a third.
Yeah. Look at boy, he's going to be 4 for me. He's still not going ahead of anybody else. That's in my top 3.
I'm better with him at 4.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just tell you, he's my number. Here's the big spoiler alert. Now, that's why I think we're both going to have the same number 1. He's number 2 for me. He's not number 1. And everybody who watches my channel knows how I feel about Michael Jordan. He's number 2 for me because I'm trying to be objective here and call it like I see it. We're going to get there, but my number 1 wasn't even remotely an argument. Like, it wasn't even close.
And I'm going to argue. Well, I don't know. I think we're going to have the same number 1, but our number 2, my number 2 is the one where I think you're going to go, people didn't jump with him often enough. I think that's what's going to end up happening.
He's going to be my number 3. Well, look, let's just let the cat out of the bag. You've done 5. We've both done 1 through 5. Now, I'm just going to tell you, LeBron's my 4. He was your 8.
Right.
Okay. So LeBron's my 4. That was the one that we kind of had flip-flop with Neek and I had Neek 9. I had LeBron 4. You had Neek 3.
3 and LeBron 8.
Yeah. And LeBron 8. So that's kind of the biggest disparity so far. And then Jordan is going to be a big disparity because I have him 2.
Well,
but now you've changed your mind, so you have him probably 4. Yeah. I'm going to give you that. I'm going to give you that whiteout. You can white that out.
Once a show. So
yeah. You can white it out and fix it. So who is your number 4?
Well, no, I had Jordan as 4, and I had.
Okay, Neek. Who's your number 3?
I had Neek. Remember, so now you've got to go with your number 3.
My number 3 is Vince.
I know. I knew it was going to
because the same thing you said is he, from day one, people were so frightened he just didn't get as many opportunities. Yeah. Now, I think he had 2 dunks that really stand out. Where if we made a top 10 facials list, these would have a very good chance of finishing in the top 10. One of them took place not in an NBA game, where he jumped over Frederick Weiss.
Yeah.
Again, they never touched, but I'm still considered a poster because if you took a still shot of it, it would be a WTF type picture. Like, am I really looking at this? And then the other one, unquestionably, was on our friend from Georgetown again, Alonzo Mourning. Yeah. So I've got.
You know what? You're right. I didn't even think about that one. He's got another one on Mutombo, which is.
I've got that one too. I've got that one on my list of the 4 best. It's also got one on Olowokandi. So now look, here's the deal. If we include breakaway dunks, he's probably number 1 or 2, right? But we're not like, I mean, look, they're going to keep showing it. In some of these alley-oops, he catches alley-oops and windmills the alley-oop. After he catches it, he decides.
Bro, he's the greatest dunker of all time.
He is the greatest dunker of all time, period, end of story, not even worth discussing. Yeah. You know, and that's, again, I don't think that's near his top 10. I mean, that's not really that hard. No. Again, by immortal standards, it's not really that hard. You know, it's great. It's in an all-star game, and nobody was even trying. But I'm waiting to see if we can get
you'll get them. You're going to get them. This one's
that right there.
Yeah,
that's similar to the Sean Kemp, but I think it's even more impressive, right? This similar to the one where Sean Kemp went up and under and dunked it on the other side, but that's even more impressive because he stayed on the same side. There's the Olowokandi. No, that's Tim Duncan. Yeah,
Tim Duncan. Yeah, who didn't jump. So again, it's not a. You know,
again, he didn't. He knew better than he's like. It's too late to take a charge. I'm in the restricted area. I'm sure as hell not going to jump because I can't. But like that right there, you know, that's not a poster dunk. But again, that deserves to be in anybody's top 10.
See, again, I'm wondering if this particular list is going to include. See, this is a lob, which is ridiculous. But but is it going to include the Mutombo dunk? I wonder because the one on
I've got the Mutombo dunk written down on my list. I'm not sure if it's in this top 10, but it's on my list. We're watching that too much.
Oh, that one.
Everybody remembers this one. Yeah. And again, Smits didn't jump.
No,
he pretended like he was late, but he was late on purpose.
Yeah. Here's the morning one.
This is morning.
So yeah, that's silly.
You can't watch that enough. Like that just defies. And that's not his Raptors years. That's still when he was with New Jersey. So that was deep into his career.
Yeah. And then the Frederick Weiss one. Yeah, you're right. Where he jumped over.
Weiss is not one. I think it's Mutombo. No, it's Weiss. It's Frederick Weiss.
I mean, it has to be. And by the way, he almost punches KG right here.
I know. That would have really ruined the highlight. I always think about that when I see it.
Yeah.
That would have been horrible. Like that would have been like Rudy T type bad.
Yep. But anyhow, no, I'm with you on that. He was 2 on my list.
Yeah.
And really and truly probably because of that dunk alone. You know.
That dunk is just oh God. And again, to be fair, it's been done again because Giannis jumped over Tim Hardaway Jr.'s head in a little bit different fashion. That was literally a 7-foot guy though, and Tim Hardaway Jr. is what, 6'7", something like that.
Well, I think Giannis could step over Tim Hardaway's head if he had to.
That's also true. Yep. That's true. Okay, so that Vince is number 3 on my list. Neek was number 3 on your list. So number 2 on your list is
Vince.
And number 2 on my list is Jordan. So we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Well, thank God, because this would have been a brawl. Like if there was any, like if that means neither one of us would have had the guy on our honorable mention or on our list, and that would have been horrible. If you don't know who it is by now, you don't watch a lot of NBA basketball, or you're so young, all you remember is the little brittle Blake Griffin that's begging for 10-day contracts. Who's I think now he's a Celtic.
He's a Celtic. But if you're not, look, he would have been the one guy who just on 2 dunks alone would have been number 1 on this list.
Yes.
I mean,
I love that he has time while he's in the air to go find people's arms and shoulders and faces and palm them.
Yeah.
Here's one where my poor guy Dame Time. Yeah, it's really Plumlee that gets the bulk of it, but
I just wish he wouldn't fall down so often.
Who, Blake?
Yeah, just stand up and stare at people would be awesome. But
yeah. Oh my gosh, DJ Benga. Do you remember him?
I sure do.
Looked like the part, could not play it.
Wow. You said that at the same time. Yeah.
So Blake Griffin's got so many poster dunks. It's a top 28 list.
Yeah, should be.
This is 25. This is 25. Here, I've actually got some of the ones that we definitely need to see. Oh, this is wait, hang on. Number 23 on this list is his first NBA basket. So if you want to know how Blake Griffin came into the league, here it is. 23 right here. This is his first NBA basket coming up. Watch this. First basket. Look at the score.
Yeah. And I want to say his first 2 baskets were dunks because I was watching that game.
Wouldn't surprise me. All right, I'm going to fast forward to number 18 if I can find it. All right, it's next. It's next. Number 18 is a dunk on Kenneth Farid that I thought was extremely special. And it's 18. Yeah. Not even a top 10. It's 18. Just quick. Like, was he even there?
Let me get this in there real quick.
Yeah, was he even there? Let's go to a daily double of Aaron Bain. Aaron Bain gets it.
Yeah.
On 13, coming up right here. Aaron Bain gets it on number 13, and I think he gets it again.
Is that Roy Hibbert who got that? Yeah. Oh,
there's Bain. Bain's just a little bit late and really doesn't even come close.
Figure out and Bain was up there too. That's the thing.
Bain can go now. Bain's a big old dude too. Big old dude. That's not a posterizer, but he's looking down at the rim. Okay, I've got number 9 mentioned here. I've made notes for my number 1 guy, our number 1 guy, and here's and that's where it started, right? That's the great Kris Humphries of Minnesota fame.
Yeah.
Who started this dating the Kardashians. He was the first one to date the Kardashians. So number 9. And then look, that's number 8. Okay, that's great and all, but let's watch number 7 because number 7, Jonathan, he gets Aaron Baines again.
Yeah.
Or Bain. Here he is again. Same thing. He's like, damn it, I just did that.
See, here's my thing.
I just did it. I did it again.
It happened to you once. What are you doing the second time?
It's the exact same thing that just happened again. And I think he's good enough. We can watch his top 6, and all of them belong.
Now this
of course, he gets Gasol. I'm not certain. First of all, he puts his elbow through his ear socket.
I think it's the most disrespectful one that he did because Gasol crumbles.
Well, he gets him again in the same game. Right there.
Yeah, right there. Gasol's.
How do you go home to your wife after this game if you're Pau Gasol and tell her you're a professional basketball big man?
Or when
everybody remembers this one. This is Gallinari, right?
Yeah.
So he adds a little skill element into his game, like Jordan did on that Ewing baseline dunk, which we'll talk about in future videos. That happens to that's Ibaka, I believe, right? So we've seen Ibaka twice now. Giannis got him on that Euro step. Goofy-footed Euro step, and then Blake gets them. And this is the most famous, in my opinion.
Yep, no doubt.
Yeah. Nobody on earth has ever done anything like this from that far away.
No.
If you slow it down, here you go. You'll get to see it right here.
How high do you have to be to throw in a 12-foot jumper?
Yeah, it doesn't rattle in either. It's straight in and out. Yeah, that's filthy.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, that's it. That's Blake. He's number 1 for both of us. It wasn't close. Some of the disparities we had on here, you've rectified one of your mistakes. You fixed it with Jordan like I fixed on prior episodes. You got a chance to go fix Duncan on your closers. You don't want to fix that? No, you're good. Okay, you're good where you're at.
I'm going to make sure he's nowhere near my honorable mention. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah.
Fair enough. That wraps it up, man. I hope you guys enjoyed this on the Luca Nation Network. For those of you watching, this will definitely not be the last one we do. We're having too much fun. We're going to do one of these a week. I think next week is going to be our top 10 greatest dunks in games of all time. Is that what we're going to do?
It is, and I think what we need to do for once, we need to come up with a cohesive list. We need to come up with a list. Or do you want to keep competing with it? I mean, we can.
I don't know. Let's let people comment. If you're watching this video, do you like it this way where we each have our list? Do you want us to come up with a combined list where we combine both of our half brains to have a full human brain? Or do you not give a shit? If you don't care, then we'll just keep doing it this way. We can do it anyway. Maybe we'll just throw them for a loop and surprise them. But I think you're right. I think the next list is going to be, you know what? No, let's not do dunks. Let's do the 10 greatest passes of all time.
Okay.
Let's do the 10 greatest singular passes of all time. That's going to be hard to put that together, but I think we can do it. I think we can do it.
I don't know, man. I think you need to let your viewers comment here because they may want to follow up to this video to finish out the dunk series.
Just finish the dunks.
Yeah, maybe. And you know what they're going to say? I'm just calling them out right now. I believe what they're going to say is they want us to compete because they may get more dunks that way.
They do get more dunks. We got like 18 or 20 people instead of just a combined list.
Let's see what they say. Look, I'm open to either one. Let's see what they come up with.
We'll do whatever the people want. So this is going to be published on Tuesday. We'll check the comments. We'll take ideas. We'll take them into consideration, and then they'll dictate what our next top 10 list is going to be. It's going to be 10, and it's going to be NBA related, and then pick it. It doesn't matter. We'll do the research. We'll get it done. It'll be fantastic. If you've watched this far, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching the Luca Nation Network. You can find all of my Cajun Cardboard content on both my Cajun Cardboard channel and on this Luca Nation Network. There's the pinkies. That's when you know. It's like when ML Carr is waving the towel at the end of a Celtics game. If you see those pinkies come out, you know the video is over and you guys got to go back to your job or back to your cardio or go back to your family and go back to the real world. So as always, we appreciate you guys watching. Thank you for watching. Keep collecting, stay positive in the hobby, and peace.